Welcome to the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires Track Walk from beautiful Lumen Field here in Seattle, and so far so good. And today I've got a great pleasure having my co-host here, Adam Intignap. I always have a trouble with that
It's
one,
all
so is everybody, and otherwise known as the 7 Deuce Deuce.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Big following on Instagram, man. And
Yep.
and so not racing, so
No.
I have the pleasure of having you as my co-host today, which is awesome. So.
Yeah, so I actually crashed in Houston and I fractured my C7, but I will be back in 2 weeks right after the break for St. Louis. And excited about that. But today we're doing the Dunlop track walk, so let's get into it.
Absolutely. So right off the bat, here, open stadium,
Yeah.
and weather forecast has been alternating between about a 40% to 50% chance, kind of off and on all day. I know you watch it closely, and
Yes.
what have you seen?
You know, I'm really avid on the weather. I like it to either downpour or not not sprinkle at all. That's kind of my thing. I don't want to do the triples when it's muddy, because when it's just a little bit of rain, it's the hardest. You still have to do the triples, you still have to do the jumps, but when it's a lot of rain, you kind of get that roll factor going on, and it's just, I love that because I'm a big guy and you kind of just paddle along and get it going. So if it's gonna rain, let it rain. If it's not, just don't rain at all, right?
Absolutely. So right here, we're standing just in front of the starting gate here, and the track walk for the other riders have begun. And we get down low here, and the first thing you're gonna notice, another one of these kind of Anaheim, we had an Anaheim Stadium, a little drop off right out of the gate. So
yeah.
Does that pose a problem for the riders? I mean, when you come out of here, you're just ready to grab a gear, and then you drop off a drop off right here?
So one of the biggest things that I've learned with these drop-offs is getting speed and making sure your front wheel isn't too high. You want to get back down to the ground right after this drop-off to get the power down. Making sure that you have a handlebar before that drop-off is super, super key, because usually, when those drop-offs happen is when guys get squirrely. So you definitely don't want to be right next to the guy, and if anything, you want to be in front of them. So once you get over that drop-off, major key to be out front. But something I did see, Broc, on that drop-off is that where we were standing, it was a little bit more uphill. Something about these starts and something about these track builds is everything's a little bit different. They try to make it as flat as possible. They try to do their best they can, but there's better lines than others. The right side, to me, looked a little more uphill. The left side looked a little flatter, so that's going to be a better drive coming into this first corner.
Well, speaking of the first corner, this is a pretty long one. So in Seattle, we've seen a couple of cross starts, but this one, 440 feet.
Wow.
That is now, I believe, the second longest start of the season. So at round 12, the only one longer, I believe, was in Glendale. But what I like about this start, honestly, it comes down right down the heart of the stadium floor here, and then has a nice left-hand corner here, the preferred direction of Supercross, no question about it. But a left-hand corner here, and nice and flat, so you don't really get people bottlenecking up. They've got lots of room to rub, and they can, even if they had to, get up on the inside of this backside of this berm if they needed to.
Check.
And
1, 2.
it's coming around here, flat corner, right into a little small rhythm section. Do you think anyone's going to really come outside here to try to get the full triple up onto the tabletop, or you think they'll just come inside and try to just do double and use the tabletop coming up?
Okay, so that's a really great question, because yesterday in press day, we actually saw these guys come down the start straight and come this way, but the real track is only going to be a 90-degree corner. So what I'm expecting is for them to come out and double, but they're going to come inside here right next to this, and they're going to have so much more momentum because they're not actually making a full U-turn, that I don't think this is going to be a problem. But what's very interesting that I watched yesterday is that Chase Sexton was actually going 2.4 off this tabletop, and it looked really, really fast.
Wow.
So watch those combinations. I definitely seen a lot of guys coming onto this tabletop and jumping off, but I really think, Broc, that the line is going to be 2.4 because you can carry so much speed into this.
So yeah, you're talking about Chase doing the double there, using the takeoff of this tabletop and actually quadding all the way out there past your teammates there on the Twisted T team walking the track, and all the way out here to the quad. So that is a big shot there, but it's with these 450s, they can definitely get it. And yesterday we talked to Eli Tomac, and he's standing over here, and he had a big grin on his face. I mean, he seems such a happy place this year, and he just was talking about how he likes these long rhythm sections, and he just really, for him, the faster tracks seem to flow a little better.
You know, and something that I thought was interesting that he said is that this rhythm section is so long, it's going to have a lot of different combinations, which is a great point because, you know, a lot of these Supercrosses, sometimes the rhythm sections are short and it limits your options. And with this rhythm, it's so long that you're going to have a lot of different ways to do it. And Broc, as you know, this dirt breaks down.
Yep.
So having different rhythm lanes, it's going to be big.
Absolutely. And then if you're able to do a combo, we call it going off rhythm.
Yes.
And if the track ruts up after a while.
Wow, look at this right here.
Yeah, a little soft in here.
Yep.
We had, on the track build, we had a lot of rain. Hopefully we're going to get a moment here to get over and talk to Alex from Dirtworks and talk about this build. This was an interesting build, how they had to build it because of the rain. So they had to really rush and build early.
Yes.
Then they had to wait for the rain to kind of dissipate for a day where they had at least over an inch of rain.
Yeah.
And they covered some of it, and then they had to go finish the build. So it was almost a two-part build. Very tricky for the track builders to get the track built during that time. But again, going off rhythm, if it gets rutted real bad, that's a good thing. You're off, you're not jumping into a face of a 15, 20 ruts. And then into this 180 right here, typical bull corner. And what do you think right here? Just come out of a little double here and then use the takeoff of the big table there and do another Chase Sexton quad or what?
Actually, you know what I was thinking is because the dirt looked so good yesterday in those transitions, I think they're going to come over out of this corner and they're actually going to land on the back side of this tabletop, which would end up getting a 3-3 in this rhythm section. Obviously, the other line would be to go 2-4, but then, you know, Broc, talk to me about what the difference is. You're going to be jumping off a high one. If you go 2-4, you know, you're going to be going high in the sky, and I always feel like you want to go off the low one if you can.
Yeah, normally we talk about 3, 4, 5 builds where jumps are 3, 4, 5. That's a common build where the jumps are the 3 foot, 4 foot, and 5 foot in the rhythm sections. This to me looks a lot of 3, 4s. I don't see a lot of 5s, but the 450 guys in particular, they tend to want to be over the high one. They don't want to take off on the high one. They want to get down low, get the bike on the ground, and get power forward. 250 guys sometimes need to use the higher one to get over their obstacles.
For sure. And, you know, I think a testament why you're seeing 3-footers and 4-footers, they had to build the track so fast, and then on top of that, they knew it was going to rain. So they definitely don't want to build anything too crazy here because they know that just the rain itself is going to be so hard to deal with for the riders with it rutting up and being gnarly that they're going to try to build this track just a little bit smaller. Something else that I've seen, you know, with this track is that they build it fast. The transitions get very, very kicky. When they have to rush these builds, you know, you see these transitions get very, very, you know, like they want to buck you forward. So that's definitely a more difficult part for the riders. As I watched yesterday in press day, you know, the transitions weren't rutting up too bad, but there's definitely worse transitions like this one over here. As you can see, get a little bit of this mud on the side. This one is a little bit more muddy, and then some of them aren't. So there's definitely going to be a lot of different variables here, Broc.
Yeah, we talk about the pockets, and when the track rains, they try to cover the best they can. But no matter what, if anybody's had a home that had a, you know, who knows, had a roof leaking, the water goes everywhere. Well, that's kind of what happens when you tarp the track. No matter what they do, they try so hard to get the water off the surface of the track, but there's always that leaky tarp in the seam, and it comes down, and sometimes it settles in the middle of those transitions.
And Broc, looking at this right here, before this whoop section. So these are low points in the track, and this is something that I'm looking at as a rider. They said that this whole front straightaway was flooded on Wednesday. So you can see where they tried to push dirt over, and right over here there's a little bit of mud. So this entrance is going to be very soft.
So we'll get low right here, take a good look at this whoops right here, and I was trying to get a moment there. I know we got one whoop specialist up there, Christian Craig. And being the West Coast, we're back on the West Coast 250 class. I'm hoping to grab a word with Christian because if you guys are aware, you know, obviously these are all dozer whoops. They're not, you know, they're not doing it with a loader. But Christian is one of the very best. I mean, the 450 guys stop and watch Christian go through practice in the whoops because he's such a phenomenal whoop rider. So Let's see if we can grab his attention here and get a word with him. So Christian, you're salivating. I know it. You got 11 or 12 whoops right in a row here, and you know, we were just talking about how even the 450 guys watch you go through the whoops, and they're so impressed with your skills. So, what do you, when you're looking at these dozer whoops, what are you thinking when you're looking at them other than I'm going to blow everybody away?
No, I wish they were bigger.
Oh, okay.
So, no, they're good. They're actually good size, and I think they're going to break down quicker than usually, and they're going to be jumpers pretty fast. But there's going to be options because they're pretty wide. So you go able to blitz and jump, so we'll see what ends up being faster.
Yeah, we don't see you do a lot of, you know, you're not, I mean, you jump once in a while, but not often, I mean, because you're so good at blitzing them, so you're hoping that they keep them built up enough that they'll stay something where you can blitz them?
Yeah, it just depends, like, how bad they get broke down. If they get that V in the middle, that's where you kind of just have to be careful when you're blitzing, because your bike will go side to side, so you got to pick the right line, but I think you can blitz. No matter what.
Yeah, and the V comes from building with dozer more than the loader too,
Yeah. So Christian, you're saying this whoop section, and I totally agree with you. It's not the biggest whoop section.
No.
This will not be. You know, you'll have a little bit of time to make up here. Yeah. Where else on the track, if you see small whoops, are you going to make up your time? Where's going to be your key points?
I mean, obviously it's corners. You got the rhythms are going to be super basic. Like, I think we'll all be doing the same stuff. It's not going to be anything too crazy there. It's going to be corners. It's about, I think it's going to get super rutted, so it's picking the right line, and yeah, I mean, that's about it. There's a lot of bull corners to choose from, so it's got to be smart with your lines in the corners.
And also adjusting line maybe as the track deteriorates, maybe moving, finding out this rut was good for the first 7 laps or something, and then you're going to mix it up.
Yeah, you got to move around. You can't get stuck in that one line. That line's going to go to crap after a while, so got to move around.
Well, good luck tonight, and thank you for taking the time and talking to us on the track walk. Thanks, bud. So yeah, we got to hear from one of the very best, and no question, as you made. You know, Christian's one of the West Coast riders, and if you talked to, yesterday we had a chance to talk to Eli Tomac a little bit about that. Yeah. And we were talking about how as the tracks moved east and the main events got longer and longer, how we started seeing people would fall, riders would fall later in the track.
Yeah.
And what would happen a lot of times is that the track was good early on, and then it would get real hard packed. Well, the bike setups now, the whoops were so hard at the beginning of the year. Christian was on a West Coast, so he had to battle those whoops like crazy.
Yes.
And then to make the bikes go through the whoops, you tend to want to stiffen the front forks.
Absolutely.
What ends up happening then, they don't turn very well. So as the track deteriorates, the riders were struggling towards the end, doing the same thing they've done lap after lap, and then all of a sudden the front end goes out and they fall. So I think Christian, when he came here, for him it's almost a little bit, you know, disappointing that the whoops aren't as big, but other riders are probably happy. Yeah,
but one thing that I did notice about the whoops is they're going to be tough tonight. They're soft. So he's still going to have an advantage. They're going to be very, very side to side. And one thing you guys notice is Christian has speed. One of the things with speed, it keeps the bike more straight. So he's still going to have an advantage even though they're a little bit smaller. What I did notice, Broc, is this is probably the skinniest part of a Supercross track I've ever seen right here.
Look at this. Yeah.
So this is going to be very one line.
Yeah, you're only talking maybe 1, 2, 3. Literally, it's about 4 paces. So this is, you know, they say they're 15 minimum. That's probably pushing it.
That's pushing it.
Yeah,
right
maybe
there.
12 foot. So very narrow as we come out of the whoops, do a little double, and then right here we're heading right across the starting line area where you see this little berm. Not as abrupt. I think the Anaheim one was a little too abrupt. But this little berm is going to help these guys.
This is much better, Broc. I actually at one of the races I clipped the wall like this, and I actually crashed because of it. You know, when they made it just completely shredded. But that was because it was so slippery coming into that corner.
So let you stay up there. I'll stay down here, and we can kind of show the elevation change right here. This was a lot of fun to watch yesterday, but the lot of fun part is gone away because they do want riders to take either or. And if you went to Jason Anderson's Instagram account, you'll see he was hitting this wall right here, and he was popping up onto the outside there. And it looked like a lot of fun, but they do not want guys crossing over midair, running into a guy here. So you are committed at this point right now. I'm sure they're going to tell them if you go across this one way or the other, they'll probably dock you a penalty for this.
Yes.
So you're committed to one or the other. So we're forcing into 2 good lines there. And that knuckle up there, what do you think at that point right there? Are you think anybody's going to get on the downside of that table?
No, nobody's going to worry about the downside of the table. What I'm really looking at, Broc, from a racer standpoint, is I'm looking at this as the fast line. Yep. So this is your timed qualifying line, and we talk about this a lot as racers up in our trucks. There's a race line, and then there's a time qualifying line. When you see this looks like time qualifying. That outside, it's going to be very one line, so that rut's going to get deep quick. This, you can see right here, Broc, look at how much this is pushing away. Yeah. This is going to go away quick, and what's going to happen is this lip is actually going to get less steep because of the rut. So this is going to end up being the fast line. We're going to see a lot of passing, and maybe not passing here, but definitely lining up. One cool thing about this option section is this might be a little bit slower, but guess what? There's a 180-degree corner before the finish, and we're talking pass city, baby. So that's something the guys are definitely going to be looking for, is just inside. It might be a little bit slower, but you're going to be able to set up that pass.
Yeah, I think getting a good drive off of that, having another mile an hour or so as you go here and bust this triple. If you have just a little bit of speed right here, I think you're going to be able to carry enough to get inside of the rider in this bowl corner right before the finish line. So.
Yep. Throw a little Bubba scrub action off this triple and put it right on the inside. Yep. Maybe show them a little bit of love in this last corner. Take the checkered flag for the qualifying spot or for the win. We're definitely going to see Broc, look at the size of this thing. We're going to see some excitement because there's a triple here. You're leaving a lot of wide open space and a lot of availability to gain speed over that and put it right next to your guy. So, wow, this is going to be, there's going to be some action here tonight for sure.
What do you think, man?
Yeah, just getting a good look at it, man.
Yeah, reigning champion Cooper Webb joins us here. So how do you think of the track? I mean, is our outdoor, the weather's sort of hanging in there? And
so far it looks pretty good. Yeah, dirt, I like that soft dirt, so I don't mind it at all. Weather doesn't look too bad, and the layout looks pretty good. Definitely going to be treacherous conditions by the main event, though, no doubt.
Yep, well, I think if there's anyone who can handle treacherous, you're one of them, man. I've seen you pull some incredible races, and one of my favorite Supercross races of all time was the muddy race that you and Eli had at Salt Lake City, and it was still just masterful. So I know
Hopefully we have one of those tonight.
I know you can handle. I know you can handle treacherous in bad weather. So good job.
So we talked a little bit yesterday in press day about how you like the tight track, and this side of the track is very tight. Just elaborate a little bit on why do you like the tight track? Why is that your advantage?
I think for me, one of my advantages is being able to turn extremely tight. So the tight stuff, it kind of gets you out of your flow. You can't be in that high gear. You got to be uncomfortable with those tight transitions. And I feel like the technique comes out to play there. So for me, that seems to work better. I feel like I can get really tight underneath guys and stuff like that. So tighter the better for me, man.
All right, get inside of the inside line.
Yeah.
So good luck tonight, Cooper. Thanks for taking time. Yeah, so right here coming out of that 180 we were talking, there's going to be some rubbing. So up here, finish line, typical finish line jump. Again, just pop it. Saw a lot of good action last night, or yesterday in press day. We were seeing some good whips off of this, so the fans are going to get their money's worth.
Yeah, Broc, so one of the coolest things that I love to do is a lot of the time when I'm in B practice, you come off the finish line, you throw a little whip, you look at your team manager and you watch that thing go to P1, and that's definitely one of my favorite parts is having the excitement of, oh man, I just smashed that lap, and then you throw a little whip off the finish, you look at the tower where all the numbers are at, and you're like, yes, P1, baby. And then there's also that, oh, I just ran a good lap and then I'm P5. So a little bit of up and down there.
Yeah,
but
you go.
Gotta love the
finish.
finish.
I do see that. Even the top riders, they'll bust a good lap and they go immediately to the tower, look at the tower and go, where did I go? Did I move or stay?
Yeah.
And like you said, it can be deflating.
If
you don't get the number, you think it's a good lap and it goes away. So, So corner here, this one reminds me a little bit of what we had last week where we saw the contact between Barsha and Anderson, and it's a little similar. It's really almost just a 90, but the track goes 180.
Yes.
So you can throw yourself wide out onto the starting line, or you can come down the tight side. So speaking of tracks, I think what we need to do right now is Alex from Dirtworks.
Yeah.
If there's one guy that knows all about that, we briefly brushed over the challenges that you guys had building the stadium, or building the track here in this open stadium, And there's a lot of little nuances that you guys have to do, and you have to work in the schedule of Mother Nature. So track build. Walk us through. You arrive on what, Monday or Sunday? When do you arrive?
So we arrived on Monday. We worked about 15 hours on Tuesday. Got all the dirt in and got 90% of the track built. We made the call to run the road base underneath the dirt, so we have like a gravelly surface, so we can always get traction and don't just sink down to the plywood and spin, so we can still operate on the floor and get trucks around.
So before we get too far off of road base, tell us what tracks, open stadiums, road base. I think of Oakland when I think of road base.
Yes, correct.
Tell us the tracks that you guys build on top of road base.
So Anaheim gets road base, Oakland gets road base, this venue gets road base. There are some other ones like, say, Salt Lake City. We have road base there, but the past 2 times we went there, we didn't use it. So that's just kind of on standby. Kind of like we just look at the weather at some venues a week prior, or as you know, it comes up to the trucking date where we need to start making the move, and we kind of just make the decision.
What's the
pros and cons
That's
of road
exactly
base?
what I was going to ask.
Expensive for one, right?
It's more trucking. It's
Okay.
about 2,000 yards of extra material we have to pay trucking hours to get the material into the venue.
Okay, once the race is over, when you pick up all this dirt with a tractor, there's no perfect method of getting the road base and the dirt separated at that point again, right?
You can actually separate the dirt from the road base with a machine better than you probably think, but there's always contamination.
Okay.
So the more times we use the road base, the more contaminated it gets, and the more likely we're going to have to open up the wallet again to screen it.
Yeah, so another added expense to building these expensively built tracks already.
Yes.
So fantastic. So starting line, Adam mentioned that underwater basically after the Tuesday deluge, or Wednesday, was it Wednesday or Tuesday, you had about an inch of rain, right?
Yeah, so on Tuesday when we did build like 90% of the track, we left all the dirt that we covered the start straight with just in a pile. So the start straight was still all road base. So we were able to drain the water and get a lot of the moisture off the track, and then Thursday afternoon we threw all the dirt down on the start straight, like kind of a last minute, to finish the track. That was the last thing we did.
Very good. So,
Awesome.
And then the one part of the track, and all the little nuances. When we talk, I'm actually fascinated because I've been watching Supercross tracks being built since the 70s.
Absolutely. Yep.
And the fact that you said you got 90%, and the part you guys actually outran, you worked like a 14, 15, 16-hour day or something, you told me, but you outran the crew that puts up the scaffolding for the finish line jump and all that. So you actually had to wait until they got that built before you could build the finish line jump, right?
Yeah, like the 10% that we didn't do would be like the finish line jump. We didn't put the gate in because we have to wait for some other things for that. Just like the little odds and ends, we kind of always have to wait on because the trucks were also coming from Indianapolis. So the trucks didn't get here till Wednesday midday at some point.
And there was a little bit of weather coming across Wyoming. I heard. I mean, at least our Dunlop truck driver was telling us about that. So yeah, I mean, people don't realize all the infrastructure that goes up. The starting line, you have the torches, and the finish line, same thing. We always talk about light the candles. Well, those things just don't pop up by a candle. They actually have some wiring and plumbing and things like that.
A lot.
So I appreciate you taking the time to tell us all about it, because I know it's a lot harder than anybody gives anybody credit for, and you guys have to plan for everything.
Well, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Good job.
Hey, thanks, Alex.
Nice. That was great.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's just people just. I mean, it's hard to do what they do.
They don't understand how hard those guys work, how many man hours, and then also, they don't understand that they're trying to build tracks, to the weather, to the dirt. There's so many different variables that people don't understand. These guys are working in between a live show to prep this track. There's only so many seconds they have to make this track good and tend to the corners or the jumps that are actually getting really, really bad. So that makes it very difficult for those guys, especially, when you see them getting kind of murdered on Instagram or whatever it might be. You're like, oh, why wasn't this? Well, they only had, 5 minutes. They can go here, here, and here, but they couldn't get over there. So they're trying to, fix the gnarliest spots, and then if it's okay, they're like, well, we have to leave that. We only got so much time.
Yeah, I was told that when the schedule between TV, nobody wants a dead show. They don't want 30 minutes between action on the track.
Absolutely
So
not.
between when they kind of changed to the 20-minute versus the 20-lap main events and the 15, there were some times in the schedule where they lost 3 or 4 minutes, two or three times. So difficult. But I wanted to show this real quick. When you shoot out here, and you come out onto the starting line with that 90-degree berm back there, some guys are going to come out really wide, and some guys might just pivot tight and run it down right down the inside and come in here and hit this next jump at an angle. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens in this little section right here if we get some crisscrossing of lines. And this is a pretty basic jump in most people's eyes, but the problem is the basic part goes away when you see there's actually an off-camber jump, if you want to call it, in the future. We'll see that here in a second. This is a pretty cool section. We don't see a lot of off-cambers built in Supercross track. No. But here's one right here, no question about it.
I think that's a great point on that back straightaway. I think it's going to be very inside because this is a slow section. Yep. You know, if you needed a lot of speed, I could see those guys going outside, but I think there's going to be a big rut after that finish that probably gets down to the road base. Looking at this, the first thing I'm seeing, Broc, is this wall right here. You do not want to come up short here because if you come up short, you're going right over that monster hay bale into that Oakley banner. So what I'm looking at is you're going to stick to these inside hay bales, come over this double, probably go inside. There's going to be a nice inside rut and then double out. Yep. Now, passing options. How do you get by a guy if he goes inside? You're going to have to set him up. To go 3, you're going to have to cut across and actually come back to the left because what you're going to do here is double, roll inside, and then you're going to want to set up for this triple on or 2-4. So you're going to want to go outside by these Suzuki hay bales. So you're actually going to cut under, go double, launch onto the straightaway, which is going to slow you down a lot.
Well, let's ask someone right here. I got to catch you last night on the Pulp MX show. I actually sat in the audience, and this is one of our guests, and we had a great time listening to you. That was fantastic. Alex Martin, everybody, and I think the only rider to ever ride Motocross the Nations. We were talking about that live for 2 different countries, Puerto Rico and United States.
Wow, that's really cool.
So what are you thinking out here? I know you were, last night I got to hear a lot of it. Being on the 450 and the whole challenges that brings on, and tell us, like, how you felt like you said last night that you had qualified well many times, and you're only a 1/10 of a second off of some of the big name guys, and then all of a sudden you get out there and you look on the board and you're 14th. You're like, dang, this is a tough class.
Well, I think Adam had some good pointers on the track. It's going to be really soft, really rutted.
Yep.
I haven't raced Seattle personally since '09, but I've watched it.
'09.
The years that I would race West Coast, it wasn't on the schedule, but it's looking like a typical Seattle. I think we're going to have a little bit of rain tonight, maybe. I mean, 30-40% chance, so it could be spotty, but I mean, that always plays into it. It's another element added to Supercross, and the track's really soft. We rode press yesterday, and it broke down just a little bit in 10 minutes, you know. Yeah. So, it's going to be challenging, but I mean, the biggest thing is get out front early in that 450 class. The starts are tough in the 450 class, though. Everybody is so good off the gate. Like, everybody's a good starter, right? So, that's challenging, and the competition's going to be deep. There's a lot of guys that are hurt, but there's still plenty of other guys that are fast. So, it's going to be a fun night, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of fast guys in that 450 class. Even with the injury depletion factor, you still got a lot of fast guys. Nobody's out there. They're not mailing it in, that's for darn sure. So, hey, good luck tonight, and it was a pleasure listening to you last night on the show. So
hey, good luck, Alex. So, Broc, actually, I was just looking at the weather, and the update is 70% chance at 4 o'clock.
Don't look anymore because you're
70% chance at 4 o'clock. So, obviously it's bouncing around a lot. I actually looked this up. So, an average rainfall for Seattle is 135 days a year.
Jeez.
LA is only 35.
Wow.
So that's why these tracks are like this. It's going to be a crazy
Look
night.
at this. See, this is a popular place to be, man. Come on, brother. We got your teammate Jalik's back on the bike, West Coast. We're all set. We got Nathan Ramsey, past Supercross winner, and we want to see a future Supercross winner. I say that you'd be such a popular win. What do you think of this place?
I always like Seattle. Seattle's always nice when it don't rain.
Yeah. Being a Florida boy, you don't like that rain, do you?
No, not this type. This is a different type of rain. But I always like this. The atmosphere of the fans is always awesome. And these people are beyond cool. It's been a while since I've been here for myself, so track seems good really so far. Dirtworks did an amazing job for what they were dealing with. I know it was raining a little bit the last couple of weeks. Dirt was wet, so Dirt's actually kind of getting dry, so it might need a little bit of rain, not too much.
All right. All right, your teammate, Jalik, you've been practicing with Malcolm, or what's the deal, man? And you're ready to go?
Yeah, he's ready.
Tell the camera that you've been whipping Malcolm's ass all week. Come on, man.
Actually, owes me Chipotle from all the starts.
Oh, you whipping him on starts too?
Starts too, so it's just been all around ass whooping.
What did I hear Nathan thinking? I can hear you thinking, well, that's not that big of a deal. Malcolm's not. No, Malcolm's been getting good starts this year, huh? Yeah.
Hey, Jalik, we're gonna be looking for some good. We're gonna be looking for some good positions tonight, kid. I mean, that was a lot of smack talking on a guy that's almost winning the 450 class, kid.
It's okay, buddy.
Hey, he knows.
Brother, confidence,
I gotta love it. I
Hey,
gotta love that.
We need some confidence. Good luck tonight, Jalik. Thanks for taking the time. Nah, that's great. We love to hear the teammate smack talk. Malcolm, you were letting him win those starts, right? You were letting him win, huh?
No, I'm 2 Chipotle burritos down right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
2 Chipotle burritos. Holy Toledo.
Malcolm,
man.
when you're looking at this corner, where are you gonna make up time? I'm looking at this corner like
I'm not gonna start making sure I ain't going off the track.
you know what? That's what I'm saying. This is a super slow corner.
Yep.
I'm thinking inside to inside right here. I mean, where's the other option?
I think for a fast lap time,
Fast lap.
outside.
Yeah.
Race line inside.
Yep.
You think you're going to get up here on the tight, maybe a race line, but qualifier time you'd want to go on the outside.
I think we're saying standing at
Yep.
it's a little soft, so it'll probably create a little bit of rut there, maybe.
He's not Shane anymore. He's Papa. How's
Oh,
that, man?
Pops.
Congratulations to our cameraman
Pops.
Shane. Had
That's cool,
Shane
man.
Doyle had a new baby. Yep, a new daughter this week, and I'm so excited because his daughter was born on our daughter's birthday. So
Oh, wow,
I will
that's
not
cool.
ever forget Shane's
That's
birthday.
cool.
And they share it with Chad Reed. So March 15th.
Sweet.
Yep, the eyes
Hey,
of
good
March.
luck tonight, Malcolm.
Thanks, man.
Tear it up. Hey, we're all hoping for that win, bud.
Yep, I know.
Good luck.
Malcolm would be such a popular win. I mean, we're not wishing anybody hard, but man, Malcolm would be a fun win. So
And
coming out
I
of this
think it's
corner-
coming. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I
yeah.
think that win's coming. It's just going to take some time.
So we talked earlier about the Suzuki Tough Blocks right here. So you're coming
Yeah.
off over. Yep. Got our team manager Dan Fahey up there, right there. He's hoping for a J.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh wow! You just sank
So-
up. You got that's a sinkhole there, man.
Yeah, so we got it's definitely wet by that road base for
Yeah,
sure. They weren't
okay.
kidding.
Yeah. So jump there. So we're going to see what happens right here. And so right here, we're going to wind this thing down.
Yep.
And the fact that the riders' meeting's coming on, and we're probably fighting audio with them. But right here, just come out across. This is the old first corner where we started this thing.
Yeah.
And all I can tell you, thank you so much for joining us on the track walk today, and you did a great job. And it's always terrific to have a current rider's perspective.
Yeah, I try to do that. You know what I mean? Try to give you guys the inside scoop, and I think we did a really great job. And I just want to say good luck to all the racers. Thanks, Broc, for having me. Thanks, Dunlop. It was awesome.
And last time we were here, sorry, the rap video. If you ever remember the Ride Dunlop rap video, it was shot right here. in
Get
this
a
place.
Dunlop, baby.
Yeah,
That
get
was
a Dunlop.
one of a kind. So cool.
All right, thanks. Tune in next. We got a weekend off. 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
2 weeks, St. Louis.
We'll see you in St. Louis.
Thanks, guys.